re-record some audio. I'm here at Fawn's check-in facility. You'll recognize this little gazebo thing and the water. That pond back there is where they pull their water from for the local village water here, by the way. You can now understand why I'm not super excited about using village water in any project ever. Anyways, I got to recreate a video. The one positive out of it is I've thought of a name for it. I'm going to call it the Village Money Game. There's multiple village money games, but this will be one of them, and that's suitable enough for a title for this video. Hang on, my shirt all weird. Yeah, these darn shirts. The external stitching thing. I'm a fan, obviously, of that. I used to have a bunch of shirts like this. I like them. Not a thing here. They think your shirt's inside out. Just like aged and distressed stuff. They do some torn jeans in that, but other than that, everything is like new and crisp and ironed and fresh and fancy and pristine. That's the thing. So just FYI, I like the shirt and I'm wearing it and I don't really care. But if you're looking at like buying stuff for Thailand, I wouldn't get the exposed stitching stuff too much. They just look at you and go, what the hell? I'm going to start off with some examples, which is I think the best way to tell a lot of the stuff, like use real examples and stuff. And you'll kind of get the idea, and I'll see, hopefully I do all right with this. But I hate recreating content, by the way. Hopefully I kind of get back into this, and it's fine. So, this all kind of started because Fawn was thinking this one lady that she knows pretty well was getting 40,000 baht per month from her foreign husband. Now, I know this guy, and I know he's doing very well financially, like very, very well, and probably a whole lot better than I am. And great, no problem for me. But that's why he's paying so much. And also, I know that that guy is actually like a really nice guy. Like, God forbid, there's actually some expats here that are nice people, but there are actually some out here in the Isan region. Not a lot, let me tell you. But anyway, so this guy happens to be a nice guy. He's very well set up financially, and I hear he's paying his wife 40,000 baht a month as like an allowance to run her household and take care of him. And and it's gotten back to me very clearly that she takes absolutely fantastic care of him. And I know him a bit, and several times he's mentioned that like, he's like, wow, this is awesome. He goes, my wife just takes fantastic care of me, and blah blah blah, and okay, so it all kind of makes sense. So I believe this, which it turns out I should not have, but I believe this, and this is like part of mine Fawn's reality. There's this guy, and he's paying his wife 40,000 baht a month. We accept this as a fact, and Fawn's friends with the lady, and that's the friend told her directly, so it was right from the horse's mouth. So, gee, how can you get any better than that? Well, as it turns out, that's not a good way to get this kind of information. Finally, one day, months and months, or many months, maybe a year later, a long time later, I happen to be having a beer with the guy. Kind of a little, just me and him. There's a bigger group, but there's just kind of me and him off to the side. I think you get the idea. We're maybe a hair tipsy, very relaxed, in a kind of a private setting. And I might have brought a cigar with me at this time, and I'm just kind of really in this late at night, so very private. Okay, you kind of get the idea, and it's kind of important because. And I go, I said, pardon me. I said, if you don't mind, and good morning. I try to be polite, okay? But if I want to ask a personal question, I ask permission. I go, do you mind if I ask? And he's like, oh, no, go ahead, go. Are you sure? So he gives me total carte blanche. Just says, ask whatever you want. It's fine. I'm not worried. And it's okay. So I said, it's kind of weird to ask. I felt embarrassed. I mean, kind of weird to ask, but my Thai wife thinks that you're paying your wife like 40,000 baht a month, and she's kind of mentioned that a couple of times. I get the feeling that this could be like an expectation down the road, and I said I don't have like that kind of budget. I mean, I told him that is not going to fly in my budget, and it's not a problem today, but I can see it peripherally on my radar that this could come up. And they do tend to want to negotiate their salaries upwards. By the way, that's a thing, just so you know. That'll be another video, but he starts laughing and he goes, no. He goes, that's not true at all. He goes, I pay her 10. I give her 10. He goes, now. He goes, there's some qualifications on that. She's got a relative who has some problems. I just want to vaguely say, and he supports he gives some money to that person to help them. They've got like a brain problem of some kind or something, or maybe they're mentally challenged a little. I'm not quite sure what it is, but there's some kind of problem. And so he does give a few bucks for that person. It's not a child of hers or anything like that, but it's something that he kind of, it matters to her, so he does that. And again, this is a guy who's quite wealthy, okay. And then he's given, he does something. He pays something regularly for a car. I don't remember what the hell it was, but there was some kind of monthly thing going on. Maybe it was a loan or something. I don't know, but it wasn't an enormous amount of money. It was like 5,000 baht or something, and for a car or something like that. And then he does that, and that was that was it. That was it. And I breathed a sigh of relief. I felt a lot better. And then, obviously, the first thing I did once I was private with Fawn within the next day or so, we had a little time, we're sitting down talking about stuff like that. I mentioned, hey, by the way, I asked him and blah, blah, blah. And this guy has good credibility. When I told her that he said this and that was done. And she totally understood, and I kind of felt like I saw the light bulb over her head. And what this was saving face. This was the other lady. Not one thing against her, this guy's wife. Not one thing against her for saying 40,000 when it's really 10, because, or if you want to call it 15 or whatever. But she's got to save face, and she's got to say this number, okay? Just like when my pension and income situation gets reported. Hang on, just straighten that. Gets reported and all that. Fund isn't exactly sharing precise data, okay? It's all kind of up. And I help her parents a little bit, and I pay for her kids a little bit and stuff, and that all gets kind of puffed up a bit. You're familiar with the term puffery? There's a lot of puffery going around here in the villages, and it's all all this saving face. I'm telling you how something looks. Good morning. Good morning. Tom, YouTube, you can... All right, she's got like a little YouTube. She's a really nice lady. I have another example of this. So, just to kind of make the point. So there's another guy in a neighboring village, actually kind of not that far physically from where we are, and this guy's got just a horrible reputation. But he's very wealthy, by American standards, even just like disgustingly wealthy. And then you can imagine coming here, he's like a billionaire. And then Fawn is like, well, she gets 60,000 baht a month, and I'm like, that's $2,000 US. I'm like, that's a lot of money, And I'm like, really? But it kind of makes sense because this guy is just insanely rich. He just bought a 2 million baht motorcycle, one of like 4 or 5 that he has, and on and on and on. Okay, so I believe that, but then, but then. His wife, again, knows Fawn through the villages a little bit. Not close. We're not close with those people because this guy makes a lot of trouble. He's maybe an alcoholic, and he can be a little violent. And I mean violent. And he's a very physically large person. He towers and dwarfs me. He's got to have 100 pounds on me. And it makes me a little uncomfortable because he's violent and he's huge, and I don't need that spilling onto me. And then I got to deal with this. That's socially being around when there's police have been called with him involved a couple of times. I want nothing to do with any of that. So we stay away. But back to the point, there's some village gossip about this, and he's paying her 60,000. I believe this. Wrong again. Cut to the point. He's talking to me one time, and this is way back a long time ago, and I haven't seen this guy in a long time. I have no interest. But this is way back more than a year ago before I really knew who he really was. And he says, oh, yeah. And what he does is, she's making that much money, but she works. And I don't understand his thinking, but he takes some of her paycheck, which I guess he's just super greedy, which is, honestly, I've seen that with a lot of people who are very wealthy. Odd. Money's really important to them. And a lot of times they're cheaper than we are. And you know what I mean? You've seen that, people that are really, really wealthy, and then all they care about is money. And I guess he's one of those. So that didn't turn out to be true, But then there's a third and last example here. And I think I told this story more fluently the first time, but I had a sound problem, and I'm sorry that I got to redo this. But so Third and last example is a guy, again, living a couple villages over, a little further away. I've met him a few times, talked to him a few times. Another guy I really don't care for. Another guy I really don't like to be associated with. He's got a very bad reputation in his village. All the Thais gossip him. I've mentioned him before. This is the Dutuk guy. He's got to talk down the Thais all the time. And for some reason, he thinks he's so much smarter than they are or everybody else is or whatever. He keeps doing this, thinking he's getting away with it. And I'll get different people in my village and in other villages and in the city of Nonsoon. We're talking, and there's a lot of gossip. And many other people mentioned this one guy in particular and what a shit he is. And I mean, I think they're going to come and burn his house down one day or so. I'm kind of kidding, but I mean, you can't keep doing that. But that's a subject for a different video. But what he does is he pays his Thai wife 10,000 baht a month. He's upfront about that. She's upfront about that. They're actually telling the truth. But out of that, she has to pay for the groceries and all the stuff for the household. Now, he's a big Pattaya guy. He lived in Pattaya for like 10, 12 years or something before coming out here. He has by far the most experience of any of us in this story. The first two guys, the one guy I like, I talk to him sometimes. The other guy, the violent, huge guy, I don't, how do you say I don't talk to him. And then this guy, I don't talk to him. But I know their situations quite well, which evidences how fluid the gossip situation is through the villages and how well it flows. Anyway, so you get the idea there. So looking at all that, you can kind of get a little bit of a picture of how things are. And so what I see is generally people actually paying 10, 15,000 baht. And I've seen other examples of this, maybe 7 or 8 examples I'm aware of. And you kind of consistently see this 10, 15, under 20,000 baht kind of thing towards the Thai wife. Good morning. And you hear it reported as 30 to 60,000 baht, and when guys are getting their pensions, out here in the Isan region, the big money guys tend to be, I think, in Pattaya, Jomtien Beach, Hua Hin, Koh Samui, Phuket. Those are the big money places. Koh Chang Island, called Koh Chang Island, however you want to say it, the Thai or the Phalang pronunciation, whatever, Elephant Island. All those big areas, you get the big money guys, and that's a whole different kettle of fish. But out here, guys have pensions of, in U.S. dollars, typically around 1,000 to around 2,000 a month. Between 1 and 2,000 a month, probably an average of that 12 to 1,500 is real common. And, And you hear of a lot of guys even in the high hundred, under 1,000, 800, $900 a month. I mean, that's like not glaringly uncommon. Particularly with Germans and Aussies get really small pensions. They get like really small pensions. And from what I've seen, maybe just the guys I know just happen to be statistical anomalies, but I doubt it. I keep hearing the same thing. But so there's kind of the Thai, sort of the how some of the reported income and money works around here, and that's what I've been doing, and I think doing it as an allowance is really smart. That's really worked out well for me. It's been easier to plan my budget. At first, Fawn didn't like it because it kind of like limited things. We were just sharing, but that sharing kept kind of growing as it just human nature does. And the Thai women aren't dumb about money, and we're allowed, the correct term, to participate in their culture if we pay the admission fee to a point. Some of it's genuine, some of it's, it's Thai culture is just weird. I mean, it's just super different, and it's, if you could, I'm not saying it's this, but you could look at it that all marriages are sort of like prostitution with just how many extra steps you got to add to make it palatable. I mean, we all know that back in the States, you buy a new refrigerator or you remodel the kitchen, you're getting laid that night or for that week, your wife's going to be putting out more or whatever, or be more affectionate towards you, or be nicer to you, or make less jokes at your expense, or embarrass you less in public or something for a short period of time. Whatever it is, you know what I mean? And then when you're not producing as much, you don't get as much attention. And as Chris Rock famously once said, nobody ever said, gee, my wife and I got so much closer after I lost my job. It's true. It's a joke, but it's true, and it evidences the underlying reality. And here in Thailand, it's just much, much more overt. people ask, how much did this gift cost? Because they want to know how much you love them. And Thai men and women, and Thai couples, Thai to Thai, exchange salaries. Sometimes it goes one way or the other way, depending on the couples. I don't know how they work that out, but a lot of your wealthier guys that got the prettier ladies, they're paying a salary. And sometimes, a lot of times, the Thai men are able to get the salary from the wife. You know, I've seen it both ways a bunch of times. I don't know which way is more common or not. I guess I don't care right now. It doesn't matter to you and me. But it matters they exchange money in their relationships, and we're expected to. Now with us, often being older and then super rich by comparison, and believe me, we are. Again, I'm about for newer viewers, I'm about 5 times wealthier here than I am back in the States. You know, I can, from going from Michigan, USA, to the semi-rural Isan region, half hour north of the city of Kolat. You can look that up, and Kolat is K-O-R-A-T, but pronounced Kolat. You know, in this region, because it varies wildly by region, some areas, Jomtien Beach, Phuket, you might be paying almost the same as you're paying back home. You might be at a 50% savings, you might be at a 0% savings, depending on how you're doing it, you know. And anyways, but out here I'm 5 times richer, and it's helped me. I have absolutely no money worries at all. I can, you know, it's still soaking in. It's still soaking in that you're always used to. You're used to being the big income provider, and all these, you got to worry about all this stuff. And now I just don't have to worry. I was looking at the new iPad, and my iPad's getting kind of old, and I'd like a higher resolution screen to be more enjoyable. And then I was like, why am I even thinking about this? Geez, I'm just going to buy it. I'll give my old one to fun. What do I care? And it's like, yeah, right. I'm just not used to doing that. Long as it's within my budget, and I do watch my budget carefully, but then I just enjoy after that. So anyways, that's it. That's kind of, I'm going to call this video like the Thai money game or something or the village money game, something like that. Not to, as long as it doesn't come off as not respectful or something. The game maybe sounds not respectful, but you get the idea. So, yeah, totally different, and yet all the same. Isn't that odd? Thanks. Goodbye. My name is Rob, and thank you for supporting my YouTube channel. I meant every word I just said with respect.